During this year alone, brands were forced to not only navigate how to reach audiences amid social unrest and a pandemic, but also boycotts of Facebook. And so, no doubt about it, the marketing, the advertising industry is changing and having to adapt. So, with me is Sheri Bachstein, the global head of Watson Advertising and the Weather Company, to talk a little bit what IBM is doing in this area, Sheri. So, I guess give me an overview of what you've seen. There was a lot of changes this year, things that had kind of been in place, but it was accelerated. So, what kind of changes did you see in terms of companies trying to meet their audience?
Yeah, it's definitely be a very interesting year, and thanks for having me on. But the upheaval that we're seeing in the ad industry is coming from identifiers going away. So Apple's announcement in June about their identifier going away. And of course, earlier this year, Google announced that cookies would be going away in 2021. And we'll see if that actually plays out, but really strong indications that it will. And then there's the consumer privacy and, brands wanting to be more transparent, which I fully support, but the legislation that really kicked off with GDPR, followed by CCPA. So we've had this change coming to the industry. You pile on the economic impacts that we're having due to COVID and the societal crisis as well. So it's really getting harder for brands and marketers to reach their audience and to have that connection. And so what we're trying to do is look at solutions that are privacy safe, that don't require these types of identifiers. And we believe those solutions should be rooted in AI.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, so how does artificial intelligence work to achieve that?
So if artificial intelligence is really about not just looking at what happened. So if you look at the cookie tells you, okay, what did a consumer do? So it's very reactive. AI can look at being predictive for a marketer and for a publisher. So it can provide them information on segmentation based on behavior, based on actions. And AI learns over time. So it's always progressive. It's always learning. It's always changing to be more predictive. And so it really helps marketers better spend their ad spend to target customers in a privacy safe way without the use of those identifiers.
So walk me through how it works. Let's say that I'm looking at a trip to Hawaii, and I do a Google search or something. Now what happens? Like, how does a Hawaii Tourism Board or Hawaiian Airlines, whatever, know that I'm doing that?
So it really is about on publisher sites or marketing sites. So if we can take the Weather Channel, because what's interesting about our business is we have an advertising business as Watson Advertising, but I also run a publishing company, a quite large one in the Weather Channel. And so you can use one of our products, an Accelerator, for example. That Accelerator ad creative is smart. It can assemble that creative to target what your interests might be from what we've learned from you, because maybe you come to the Weather Channel site every day. We've learned a little bit about your behaviors, what you like, what you've clicked on, what you've done in the past. So then we can predict what you might do in the future. And so our Accelerator product can deliver a creative that's going to resonate with you. So what resonates with you and maybe where you want to travel and maybe you want to head to the beach might be different. I might want to head to the mountains, and it's going to know that difference because it's learned over time through your behaviors, through sentiment as well. So that's one of the examples of one of the products that we're offering.
So that was the Accelerator, and there's also two others. So one is the advertising attribution.
Yes.
Explain what that is.
So attribution is really important because all marketers want to know that their spend is giving them the results that they want, right? And there's really two attribution partners in the marketplace today. One of them happens to be the walled garden. So you have the walled garden kind of grading themselves, right? So I think it's time for a third party to grade what the walled garden is producing in that results. So our attribution product, again, can provide that information back to marketers. Did their campaign deliver what they were hoping for? And then can also help provide them insights so they can better predict in the future what a campaign might do to help them spend in the future. And it's not only last touch attribution, but it's actually multi-touch attribution. So it can really span across platforms, which is really important, as you know, because we've seen consumer behavior change where they may be on a mobile phone. Now streaming is really big on OTT. And so as that consumer behavior changes, this attribution actually can go across all the platforms.
And this works into the predictive audience as well. So that's where the AI can tell. It knows you've been doing this at a certain time every day, and it can predict that and market that way.
That's right. I think the power of AI, it continuously learns. So it's not something that's stagnant. Once it's out there, that's the algorithm you get. It learns over time. It continues to improve. So more and more, you're going to see those results that you want. And then it provides those insights back, some really unique insights that maybe you didn't know about your consumer or about your audience to help you in future marketing campaigns.
Now, one thing I've always wondered about some of this targeting ads is they know what I'm interested in, but if I'm a new brand new, how do I get introduced to people who maybe have never heard of my brand before with the
Yeah.
AI?
So I think, you're going to have a strong marketing team too, right, to help you get your brand out. But once people start using your brand and on a digital platform, the AI can learn very quickly. And we're not talking about weeks, we're talking about days to help, better target that particular consumer to what a brand might be interested in. And so depending on how much digital footprint, a consumer may be going to, the more it will learn.
Well, I know for years, decades, that advertisers have spent X amount of dollars and not known if they were even talking to the right people. And this helps. This helps with that, and make sure you're really targeting somebody who's in the market for a car or whatever it is that you're selling.
Absolutely. It's a great time for it, especially as, we're in an economic crisis. So brands want to spend their money wisely, and this certainly can help them do that.
Okay, Sheri, thank you so much for coming in and explaining this. Very interesting.
Great. It's good to see you. Take care.
All right, and thank you as well for joining us. We'll be right back.